Hello and welcome to our episode of Tween Talk live today. Today our session is how to be emotionally available for your tweens even when you are struggling with stuff and you've got lots of stuff going on. It is still possible for you to be available for your available for your tween. So we are going to get started with that. So have you ever had your tween, they're like begging for you to make a decision and you just cannot think about one more thing. You're just overwhelmed. It's like too much. You've got all of these things that are coming at you. You're making decisions. Maybe you're working. Those decisions are like running in the back of your head. You've got to make. You've got groceries to buy. You've got bills to pay. You've got decisions to make about housing or budget or any number of things. Maybe you're part of other committees. Maybe you're just trying to survive. Whatever it is. In this video, I'm going to share 3 ways that I have found personally have helped me when I have been really struggling with a bunch of other stuff and still needed to be available for my kids. And I'm like, how can I balance these things? Something's got to give. I got to figure out a system. And so I'd like to share what has worked for me. And I hope that it will encourage and be something maybe that you could take away and maybe you could find that useful for you today. If you don't know me, I'm Marina Gabor. I have homeschooled my daughters for the last 10 plus years, and we have been through those tween years. We're coming out the end of the teen years, and I'm excited to say that the work that you do in the tween years does make a difference in those teen years. It is worth it developing this relationship, working through those hard things. And like I'm going to talk about today, thinking about how to be emotionally available, even when you feel like, if it's not like the glass half full, glass half empty, you're like, you're almost always on that empty mark. How can you still connect to build that relationship? So now if you find the tips that I'm going to share, if you find them valuable and you want me to personally help you or your tweens, I have got some resources that we can access so that we can make that happen. I'll tell you a bit more at the end. So if you are joining me live, please type #live in the chat. I would love to catch up with you. And if you are watching the replay, welcome. Thank you for watching the replay. Type #replay so I can say hello. So let's just get right into it. Have you ever made a decision that you regretted because you didn't have the capacity to think it through? So your tween comes at you. They're like, hey, mom, whatever their question is. And you're just like, sure, whatever. And then you don't really realize what you're saying, sure, whatever to. And then the next thing you know, it's piled on more work, more responsibility, or an outcome that you weren't really prepared for, all because you didn't have capacity to deal with it at that time. If you can relate, you don't have to raise your hand for that. If you want to discuss it, put a comment below, 100%. But I'm sure I'm not alone in having that situation. So here are some things that I did and that I still do as we've got work situations. Work piles up. We need to work. Even managing the household. We have household responsibilities. Like I said, we've got all of this stuff. And I don't always have time in the moment to deal with something right this second. So the first thing is have scheduled times to chat. Now, while this might seem kind of contrived, really? Schedule a time to chat? Isn't that kind of, it takes away from this spontaneity and this kind of relationship that you feel like you should be available all the time. You can't be available all the time. So schedule the time and schedule it around your emotional availability. So look at your planner, your calendar, however you organize your life, and look for the margins, the white spaces. Look for, is it always like Wednesday morning seems to be fairly open? Great. But it came after, Tuesdays are full. I don't really have energy Wednesday morning, but mid-morning, if you're homeschooling. If you're not homeschooling, thinking about later in the day, but then intentionally reserving energy so that you can be emotionally available during that time for your tween. It's really about this energy management. How are you spending your energy? And then how are you reserving some of that energy for a particular time, which is why you're scheduling that chat so that you can be emotionally available. And then when you go into that conversation, you can block out all of the other stuff, even if it's like 15 minutes. And then your tween knows, oh yeah, Mom and I are going to have tea, drinks, chocolate milk, whatever it is that your beverage of choice is, whatever you're going to have. And you're going to have a chat about whatever it is that is pressing in that moment. But you have that energy reserved, and your tween will really appreciate knowing that they have sort of that dedicated time to talk to you. The second thing is this idea of, yes, I can talk to you, but later, and giving a specific time. So sometimes you might be right in the middle of something. If you work from home and you're right in the middle of a project and you're into some deep work and you're like, I'm in a good flow. And then it's like, oh, Mom, can I, whatever it is that they start talking about. So all of a sudden you have to get out of that flow mode, go and talk with your kid, and then come back in. They say it takes like half an hour whenever you context switch. So you're in the work mode, then you go into the kid mode, then you come back into the work mode. And even when you're talking to your child, your tween at this point, you're not really focused. Your brain is still over here at work mode. So it doesn't do your tween a favor. It doesn't do your work a favor. And then everybody's going to end up frustrated. Maybe you have that experience. So if you have set up a precedent or talked with your tween and said, hey, so here's the deal. I do want to talk to you, but it's going to have to be at this time. And then at whatever time it is that you set, then have that conversation. Now, obviously, if it's an emergency, you stop everything, drop everything, and deal with it 100%. But often it is just that, oh, Mom, this, oh, Mom, this, oh, Mom, this, which is great that they want to talk to you. But the same way that they are like, trying to separate and have, some independence, part of that is then, okay, I am your mother and I am a separate person too. So yes, we want to have to talk, or we want to talk about this situation. I'm working till 4. Let's talk about it at 4:30. And then at 4:30, then you talk about it. Set an alarm for yourself so you don't forget. And then actually dedicate that time, that focus, and that will help you manage your emotional energy and build that relationship with your tween. Sort of along with that, sometimes they're like, I just need an answer, like right now. I can't wait. And so if that is the case, if they just want an answer right now, can't wait, it's got to be now, then the answer is no. So often, and I remember the first time I did this because I was just at capacity, can't remember all the things that were going on, a bunch of stuff. And so my daughter came to ask me something. And it was like, you know, straw that breaks the camel's back, kind of like, I cannot make one more decision right now. So because of that, I need to say no. So I said, if you want an answer right now, the answer is no. Now, I'm not saying that I won't say yes, but I'm saying if you need the answer right now, it has to be no, because I don't have capacity to think about it right now. And then she just said, oh, I will wait. And she waited. You know, we set a time. We'll talk about it later. That time came. We had a discussion, worked it through. And sure, it was something that I would say yes to. But if I'm asked to make a decision on the spur of the moment when I'm just at capacity already, and you know what I mean by at capacity, like you're dealing with enough stuff, you don't have mental capacity to make one more decision, then the answer is no. Keeps it simple. And then your tween gets to choose. Do they want to take that as a no? A solid no? Okay. Or they can wait and discuss, and it might be yes. It might still be no, but at least it will be no with reasons, or yes. And then the third thing, thinking about that decision making, you get this decision fatigue. We're making so many decisions, especially as moms. I wonder sometimes if you can tally high enough to figure out how many decisions you make in a day. How many decisions? Like, it's a lot. And every one of those decisions, you know, sucks a little bit of mental energy. It requires all this energy. And you get decision fatigue, like it's a real thing. So to help that, sit with your tween, have a discussion about some of the things that come up over and over and over and over. And it's like you have to make a decision every single time. For example, when our girls were tweens, we just said, we're not doing sleepovers. So I don't know where you stand on that. Doesn't matter where you stand on that. Agree, disagree. That's beside the point. The point is, we just decided, doesn't matter who it is, we just don't do sleepovers. I don't want to have to decide and go through the whole thing every single time we're thinking about this. So we just made the decision. Then when it came up, it was a no-brainer. We didn't have to waste any mental energy on it. It was just like, oh, that sounds really fun, but our family doesn't do sleepovers. Maybe we can get together and hang out sometime. So my daughters knew that. I knew that. There was just and then it was no fussing. There's no emotional energy around it when you had to make that decision the next time, because it had been already made, which then leaves room, gives you capacity to make decisions about the new things that are coming up, because there's always new things. Things that are significant, things that are insignificant. But as much as possible, if you can pre-decide some things, it will leave room for you to have capacity for when your tween is like, I need you, and I need to talk this through, and I need your attention, like your full attention. And then you won't be like, whoo, way down here, almost running on empty, because you'll have a little bit in reserve. So let's review those. That's a lot. Maybe it's too much in one session, but here are some things you can do to help yourself be more emotionally available to your tween, even when you're dealing with struggles, capacity, lots of stuff going on. First thing, schedule that time to chat. That will mean you're emotionally available at that time. So set it around your schedule. Look at your planner. Make it happen. Number 2, if they want an answer now, it's no. But we can always say, yes, I do want to talk about this. Not right now. And then pick a time, your soonest available time to talk about it. And number 3, reduce that decision fatigue. Make decisions once and then stick with those so you can save some energy for making decisions about other things that matter. All right. Whew. I promised you that we would talk about how you and your tween can work with me further, do these kind of things, talk about stuff. And that is in the Tween Talk and Life Skills Club. It is a membership both for you and for your tween. So moms, you will get support every single week. We talk about a life skill related to organization, communication, critical thinking skills. This week, we are talking about how to get friendships going and how to get friendships started and keep them going. That's what we're talking about in the Life Skills Club, which is a weekly online live club for tweens. And they get to connect with some peers. We go through talking about some of these issues, giving them tools to use so they can confidently move forward. You might think, I'm at capacity. I don't have energy to teach this stuff. Great. You can do it. Fabulous. Look at lifeskills.club. It is $9 a month. $9 a month. That's it. For 4 calls during the month, live calls during the month, plus that weekly newsletter for you, mom, that has those tips and tricks how you can support your tween in learning a micro skill every single week that's building those skills so they can be well-adjusted adults down the road. Again, thank you for joining me for this week's Tween Talk, and I hope to see you next week.